Hello, thank you for joining us today on Recipe Share, a program of AADL TV, where we take a few minutes to talk about recipes from a featured category. Today, we're going to share recipes with Katie and Elizabeth, and we're going to talk about recipes that we are cooking for one. So take it away, Katie.
All right, so one of my favorite things to cook when I'm just cooking for myself is a personal portobello pizza. The recipe that I'm going to be sharing with you today is from allrecipes.com, but this is so versatile. You can really do anything with it. So what you do first, you get your portobello mushroom caps. This recipe actually calls for just one portobello mushroom cap, but I always use two because they come in packs into the store and they're only like this big. So two of them makes for a good sized meal. You pop your portobello mushroom caps just by themselves first in the oven. And I like using these little 8-sheet pans. They're super cute and they're great for cooking for one, not just for this recipe, but also like for a single chicken breast or fillet of salmon or just some roast veggies. So that's a really nice cooking for one tool that I used for this. Once your portobellos are heated through about 5 minutes at 375, you pull them out and you put your toppings on. So this most recent time that I made this, I put pizza sauce on one and pesto sauce on the other. And then on the pizza sauce one, I put some turkey pepperoni, black olives, garlic, and mozzarella cheese. And then on the pesto one, I put some garlic, sliced tomatoes, and mozzarella cheese. You bake them for about 20 minutes until the cheese is golden and melty. And then you pull them out and you can see in the picture that I took that when you pull them out, they do look very melty and a little bit sloppy at first, but you just let them sit for a couple minutes to set and then you can put them on your plate and dress them up a little bit. I put some crushed red pepper flakes, and then I had some basil and also some miniature basil that I'm grating this year. And so put those on and you can see that it actually looks really pretty and tasty, and it's really, really delicious. Go to cooking for one lunch that I really like. Guys, questions or comments about that?
Do you have to do you have to drizzle them with olive oil or anything, or do you just like when you first start baking them, or do you just put them right on the tray and put them in?
I didn't use any olive oil, and the moisture, I think the moisture from the mushrooms takes care of it, because it definitely comes out and it almost seems like there's oil. Even when I put it on the plate, you can kind of see in the picture, it looks like there's a little bit oil, but I didn't use any.
Yeah, that is a really, I don't know why I didn't think of that sooner, that idea of making pizza out of, I mean, they're kind of made to be pizza in a way. And I like how you did both the tomato and then pesto. I love that. That sounds like a great meal, even cooking for two if you have enough mushrooms or more. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds really good. Also, you put the toppings, like you put it on the side where the stem would be, right? Okay, so it kind of like cradles them.
Yes, it does, and you're both right. Yeah, so like it cradles your toppings, and it just kind of seems like it was meant to hold them. I remember the first time I ever put this together, as I was making it, I was just kind of chuckling to myself because I'm just like, I'm gonna love this. This is just amazing, and it's great. Like, if you're wanting pizza but you don't want the bread or like the heaviness of pizza, it just kind of solves that little craving for you too.
Yeah, I love it.
Cool. Well, Elizabeth, why don't you tell us about your cooking for one recipe?
Sure. So this is a recipe that I got from Budget Bites, which is one of my favorite they have a book, but it's also a website. Just really easy, inexpensive recipes that are great for weeknights. And this one is for a pesto chickpea salad. And it actually, the recipe itself, I think, is made for like 2 people, but I often just have it because it's great for me for lunch. And you just take a single can of chickpeas, drain it, rinse them off, slice up a like half of a shallot. And then it doesn't say to do this, but I let the shallot rest in the lemon juice that it calls for about 5 minutes to just take the like edge off of it. And then, so you have the shallot and the lemon juice, you add in the drained chickpeas, you add in a couple heaping tablespoons of either homemade or store-bought pesto, and then also a couple heaping tablespoons of mayonnaise. And then I do a bunch of freshly ground pepper. You mix it all up. It's kind of reminiscent of tuna salad, but without the tuna, and it has this great flavor from the pesto and the like onions and the lemon juice. It's really versatile. I've actually put it on a piece of bread or toast when I like want something a little heartier, but I eat it by itself all the time. It's really filling. It's great to take to work because you just put it in a little glass Tupperware, and I feel like it like keeps me full for the afternoon. I've also used it kind of as a dip and like kind of like mashed it a little bit. Oh, I forgot to say also, you add in a bunch of fresh parsley at the end. So there's that like really herby green flavor that makes it pop too. If you like mash it a little bit, I've used it on crackers, and that's kind of fun too. And also it's really great if you have some other things you can add into it. Like if you're eating it fresh, like I got a bunch of tomatoes from the garden. So I just sliced up some of those and put those in, and that worked really well. I feel like you could add cucumber if you felt like it, like just really great to add in lots of veggies. And I have a photo here of kind of what it looks like at the end. You can see the parsley, and it has this kind of unusual greenish hue from the pesto, but it's really yummy. And I make it all the time. And then sometimes I do make the full version if my fiance is interested in having some too, but it's super easy to cut in half. And then I feel like it's perfect for one. So yeah, that's my cooking for one, is the chickpea pesto salad.
I love that. I love a 1-can recipe, and I've never thought of doing that with a can of chickpeas, and I definitely will. As you were describing it, I'm like, gosh, this sounds like tuna salad, but without tuna. And then you said it, I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds really good. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. I'd like to discuss chickpeas a little further, and maybe we will in a minute. But do you make your pesto?
So I usually do, especially in the summer because we have basil, but I've also used this with store-bought and it's fine. I prefer to make my own because I just think it tastes awesome, and I have a special, like I like to make it the way I make it, but it works either way. So yeah, I'd recommend it.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah. Beth, are you gonna share?
I'm going to share my cooking for one recipe. So I was thinking of what was I really making for myself, like during this past year being at home, and what was it that I craved the most? And it was a kale salad with tahini dressing. And then I think Katie shared the the kale Caesar. Did you share that with me? Or maybe not. Maybe I just encountered it, but it's a kale Caesar salad with tahini dressing, and the dressing, has garlic and lemon and olive oil. You add warm water, and I would just crave that tahini dressing a lot of times, and just use it as a veggie dip. But then I found this kale salad part, the Caesar aspect of it is that they use chickpeas instead of croutons, and roast those chickpeas so they're crunchy with some herbs. Now we acquired a one of those hot, what are they called?
Air fryer?
Air fryer. Yes, air fryer, which I found is a really amazing way to do your chickpeas. And sometimes I would just whip up a can of chickpeas as a snack, and they get really crunchy. But I also like this recipe because it includes Parmesan cheese. So I feel like that is like really what sets it off. Oh, and a little Dijon mustard is added to this dressing to give it that little sort of wine Frenchness, but I've also made it without. And so about the chickpeas though, I find so that although it's very quick to just throw in a can and season them in the air fryer, I started to just get like really obsessed with taking all the skin off. So like I have to say, you only have 2 minutes to peel the skin off, and then like, no, there's more skin. So it does end up taking longer for me to use chickpeas these days. I don't know why, but so even with the salad, when I throw something together, I just find myself sort of obsessing and rubbing them on the colander. But side note, what was the other? So I made it again yesterday, 2 days ago, and then I had leftovers yesterday. I mean, I can't stop eating it sometimes when I make it. I'll think I'll save some for another part of my meal. But anyway, I had pumpkin seeds on it instead. I didn't feel like dealing with the lengthy process now of the chickpeas. And then I happened to have some basil on my counter, so I threw some in there, and it was very, very good that way. I mean, there's really so many ways you can make it, but it's important to macerate that kale at the beginning, you know, and get it oil and lemony so it's softer. But man, oh man, I'm probably going to make it again for lunch just because I just dig it so much. So any comments or anything?
So for the dressing, because I don't remember Katie sharing this. I mean, maybe it might have been separately, not at Recipe Share.
Yeah.
Do you have to blend it, or can you just like whisk it, or how do you like, what is that process?
I just use a fork. I mean,
Okay.
a few tablespoons. And lately I've gotten some really good tahini. I mean, it's a lot smoother. I think we got it by the pound, but in a jar. They don't have tahini in bulk anymore, but it's a really key if you keep your tahini smooth. And there is a tip for that too. If you have a jar that's out really hard and has separated, you can throw that in the processor. And I've done that. Just get it back to a good consistency, and then I stick it back in the jar. But yeah, so I've just done it by hand with lemon juice and olive oil and water. Warm water too is what's going to help you with that texture, because once you have the lemon, it seems like it just really thickens up for some reason. But so yeah,
Sounds delicious.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I have a little tip for you about getting rid of those skins. If you cook your chickpeas like in boiling water, I do it in the pressure cooker. So if you have a pressure cooker, awesome. But I think maybe an Instant Pot is like the same thing as a pressure cooker. So cook the chickpeas, and then if you put the chickpeas in cold water and you swirl them around, the skins float to the top.
So you cook the canned ones?
Yeah, I do it with hummus. So that's how I get rid of my skins. I don't know if that would work for your recipe, but just saying, maybe swirl them in some water. See, those skins do tend to float to the top. It might even work without cooking them. I don't know. Just, so you can have your chickpeas again without getting frustrated. I'm just thinking about you.
No, I'm fine with, sometimes it's just too hot and too much of a mess to pull out that thing. But anyway, does anyone have any other comments about chickpeas or kale?
Well, just now I've got to go make some tahini dressing for myself because it's been a while.
Oh yeah. I love it.
Good.
So good. Well, thank you. Thanks for watching Recipe Share today, and be sure to click on the link below to get to the AADL events page and find the recipes we talked about today, and post your own, share your own, and comments on the page as well. And we'll see you next time when we will be sharing our favorite cookies. All right. Thank you.